The signs are here of a potential recession. And even the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell admitted that yes, they have temporarily been defeated. Because today, the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell admitted to the fact that a recession could happen, but only as a result of aggressive interest rate hikes. I want to address that because he's not the only one that is saying this. Just last week, the Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said the exact same thing. Multiple, former treasurers, Fed officials, even White House officials have all stated the same thing. Just to give you an idea, what are the chances of a recession this year in 2022? Well, Goldman Sachs puts it at 30%. Bank of America puts the odds at 40%. Citigroup puts the odds at 50%. And consumers are already saying that we are currently in a recession. So, who do we believe? Well, here's what I can tell you. When the Federal Reserve Chairman says this, it's kind of scary. He said today, and I quote, "Frankly, the events of the last few months around the world have made it more difficult for us to achieve what we want, which is 2% inflation and a strong labor market." Why did I just emphasize and? Well, let me address that in just a second. Because he also went on to say, and I quote, "A soft landing is going to be very challenging." But he made it very clear, and I quote, "We are not trying to provoke and do not think we will need to provoke a recession to bring down inflation." But at the same time, the Fed isn't worried about a recession, they're worried about inflation. In the past, the Fed stated they were focused on two main goals. One being inflation, two, a strong labor market. Those are the two things. Remember when I emphasized and? That Jerome Powell said that he wanted to make sure that we bring down inflation to 2% and we want to make sure we have a strong labor market? Well, here's the reason why. In a statement last week, Jerome Powell failed to include a strong labor market. He said he wanted to bring down inflation. That's the Fed's goal. Nothing about a strong labor market. So that's the concern, is we could potentially dip into a recession because we are going to be fighting inflation. Who cares about the labor market? We could see unemployment go over 4%. And according to the Larry Summers, he is saying that we need to see unemployment up over 5% for 5 consecutive years in order to bring down inflation. That's scary. That means there's going to be a lot of people without work, without jobs, and no income. That's very scary. Now, it looks like the only goal is to bring down inflation. Because of this, the fastest way to accomplish this one goal is to push the economy into recession. That's it. That's the fastest way to accomplish the one goal that the Federal Reserve currently has. So if you thought that we're going to get out of this potential threat of a recession, think again. It's not going to happen anytime soon. And I say this because there's other issues. And when the Federal Reserve Chairman says that the issues across the world are kind of changing the trajectory of our goals and inflation and the job market, well, we got to take that into consideration as well. So here's some of the things that are happening across the world. The war in Ukraine is far from over. If you've been reading any articles, reading newspapers, or listening to the news, you know Ukraine is going to battle as much as they can. They're going to continue to fight. But at the same time, Russia is only getting a little bit more forceful. They're adding more manpower, and they are attacking different places in Ukraine. Hey, let's just leave it at that. And even today, it was reported that Russia is launching high precision missiles at Ukraine from the Black Sea as well. So again, it's coming from all sides. And that's the real worry, is Ukraine is not prepared to handle this. Now, I know people are going to say, well, we're sending money to Ukraine. We're sending missiles and military equipment. Can't that help them? Yeah. But even though the United States has continued to get involved and help where we can, According to one expert, they say that this is the second war that the Biden administration and President Biden himself have messed up. Now, I say messed up, but it's a different word. You guys can fill in the blank. Now, the other war was the pullout of Afghanistan. That's what they're saying. And this war, according to many, is going to impact the United States for many more months. Even after Russia pulls out of Ukraine, the United States is still going to be involved, and the United States is still going to be impacted for many months after the somewhat invasion, right? They say invasion, but it's really just an all-out war, right? But we are still going to be impacted by this for many months after Russia actually goes back. So we'll see what happens there. We also know the United States is going to have to deal with another surge in COVID cases in Europe as well. There are already many reports that some places are considering an additional lockdown. Now, even though this isn't necessary, according to many experts, this is something that Europeans might do because they don't want to deal with a massive lockdown, something like China has done over in Shanghai or in other cities as well. We also know Europe is actually being told as of today to be prepared because Russia is potentially going to turn off all their gas. Yeah, how devastating would that be? And what would that do to the United States? Because yes, we would get involved there as well. And then the United States, well, we're being warned of pretty much excessive heat throughout the summer. Things aren't looking better. In regards to a soft landing and avoiding a recession, things are not looking better. If we see, and again, this is where a recession might come in, if we see our power grid get shut down due to excessive heat, that could be that tipping point. Okay, so just be aware of that. But here's what I want you to expect from a recession, because a lot of people talk about a recession and say, okay, it's coming, this is happening or that's happening, our economy's slowing down. But what should you do to prepare for a potential recession? Well, here's what I can tell you. Morgan Stanley believes that if a recession is confirmed, it would actually take the stock market down another 15 to 20%. So if you were banking on the stock market as a emergency fund, well, think again. It's probably not the smartest move. There are already billions of dollars leaving the market as a result of a possible recession. We know that Americans are still worried that the housing market is potentially going to collapse as well due to rising interest rates. And, well, we know the Federal Reserve Chairman already said that he's going to raise rates. We're probably going to see at least 2, maybe 3 more instances where they raise rates by 75 basis points. If they do that, well, first off, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt the housing market. Okay, sales are going to really slow down more than they have already. But not only that, what we know is that Americans that are not able to really fully commit to buying a home, they're struggling as well because they're priced out of the rental markets also. Let me just give you an example. Okay, let me just pull this up. Let me see if I have it. I can't find it. But what we know, for instance, is New Yorkers. There's about 23% of those people that can't afford the median rent of a home in New York. As a result of people looking for to temporarily rent an apartment or a house because they're waiting to buy, well, guess what this is doing to rental prices? Yeah, it's shooting them up, which now means less and less people can afford to rent. They can't afford to buy. They can't afford to rent now, so what do? Well, they either shack up with another family, with a friend, or potentially go homeless, move out of New York. These are the options, right? So it's not the greatest options, but that's what we know. Now, there is one positive sign, okay? And I know I get a lot of flack because I'm spreading fear, and that's not my goal. My goal is to just explain the facts, what's going on. But here's one potentially good sign, is that the last time the housing market collapsed back in 2006, it took the entire economy with it. That's not what we want to see. But the good news is, according to experts, that when it comes to housing, history normally doesn't repeat itself. So if the housing market collapses, we potentially will not see the economy collapse alongside of it. So that's some good news there. Now, let's talk about what you can do to prepare for a recession, because I know a lot of people are going to ask, what could I do? Well, here's what we know. First, financial experts are warning that there could be more red in the markets. So they're saying it might be a good idea to continue to dollar cost average back into the markets as opposed to throwing all your money in at one time. They say dollar cost average. And if you don't know what that means, let's say you have $1,000. Option one is you put $1,000 in on day one. Okay? Let's say it's in Tesla. Put $1,000 in. Great. You leave it there, don't touch it. That's not dollar cost averaging. Dollar cost averaging is where, okay, you got $1,000. Let's say for the next 10 weeks, you're going to put $100 in every single week. It doesn't matter what the price is. It doesn't matter what the news says. It doesn't matter. As long as Tesla is there to buy, you buy $100 every single week for 10 weeks. That is dollar cost averaging. Okay? That's what they're saying to do. Now, they're also warning that crypto could even drop further. Some believe that Bitcoin, for example, will drop between $13,000 and $15,000 before it decides to U-turn and run back up. Now, when I say run back up, I'm not talking about $50,000, $60,000. I'm talking about $20,000, $30,000, maybe $40,000. So again, it would be a return, but it would also be very risky. So that's what they're saying is do not dump all your money into the stock market. Don't dump all your money into crypto. You need to be careful where you're putting it. Also, many real estate experts say that now is not the time to buy a house. We just addressed a little bit of this, but let's talk a little bit more about it. Most are saying that waiting for the Federal Reserve to U-turn is going to be the best move. But again, nobody knows when that's going to be. Not even the Fed knows when they might U-turn. You could ask Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, the guy that makes the decisions, and he'd be like, I don't know. I have no clue because I don't know what's going to happen with inflation. I don't know where our economy is going to be in 1, 2, or potentially 3 months. So again, nobody knows, but experts say now is not the time to buy a home because you will be paying way too much money for it, all because of where interest rates are currently at and where home prices are currently at as well. And finally, my advice to you, and something that I've talked to many people about, is to have money on the side. Have money in case of an emergency. Let's say your heater breaks, you need a new one. You need a new oven or fridge, or you got a leaky roof, right? Be prepared for an emergency. They also say be prepared in case you need to buy something that you didn't plan on buying before. Maybe your car breaks down. You need a new car. Maybe you slip and fall and you gotta fix your elbow, or you dislocate your shoulder. You gotta go to the doctor. That would be a great time to have a little bit of an emergency fund. And the last thing, be ready for the market to turn. That's why you need to have money on the side. Now, I know I'm going to get this. I get this all the time in the comments, so let me address this right away. The question I get all the time is, what if you don't have money? What can you do? Well, first off, find a way to make some extra money. And it doesn't matter if it's $50 a month, $500 or $5,000 a month. Figure out a way to make some more money. Now, I want to talk about my friend, his name's Steve Rakin. He runs a YouTube channel called Rakin Profit. I want to talk about him not because of him specifically, but his mom. His mom is a 67-year-old who makes between $3,000 and $5,000 per month. She sells books on Amazon. Okay, you can see it right here. This is his YouTube channel. It's a YouTube short. Okay, so you can go and find him. But this is what I recommend. Again, it's very simple. Look at this. She's scanning books with her phone. She takes her phone, scans books, used books at a thrift store. You can buy for $1.99 to $4.99. You buy a book. Let's say you scan it on your phone on the Amazon FBA app. It says you can sell it for $45. You ship it off to Amazon. Amazon, when it sells, will then ship it to the customer and they pay you. That's what I love about this. So go and check out his channel. It's called Rakin Profit. Okay, here I'll pull it up one more time. You can see it right there. See it right down here. It's called Rakin Profit over on YouTube. Go and check him out. I highly recommend it. And the reason why I bring this up is because I used to sell books in the past as well. I would buy Gaylords of books, or if you don't know what a Gaylord is, it's pretty much a pallet of books, right? Big box, Gaylord of books. I'd sort through the ones that were profitable. I'd ship them off to Amazon. When they sold, Amazon would ship it to the customer and they'd pay me. It's a very lucrative business. The best part is the cost of entry is so low. So highly recommend you go and try that if you want to. Now, I just wanted to fill you in on what's going on with what the Federal Reserve said today. But if you have any questions whatsoever, please ask your questions down in the comment section below. But as always, thanks for watching, consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.